Looks like the interviewer may have left out an interesting aspect of Dr. Backels' service. And that has to do with what happens when a nuclear blast goes off underwater and you're not that far away. You're part of the experience of the testing of this weapon. So tell us about your experiences with this.
Well, there was only, first off, you have to understand, at that point in time, in the 50s, they were working on a nuclear-powered submarine. Matter of fact, they started as early as 51. They never had the equipment to do it, but they figured it was going to be this one. And so they actually were building a nuclear-powered submarine, and then all of a sudden, they said, we don't know what happens when you have an atomic blast underwater. And so that became Operation Wigwam. Go online, call up Operation Wigwam, you can read all about it. But there were two phases. One was on land and one was at sea. And I was at the sea, Operation Wigwam. And people are shocked when they find out it was only 500 miles outside of San Diego. It was totally one of the most super secret things we ever did. Everybody on board ship had to sign a thing that you couldn't talk about it for 50 years, and this was 55. So therefore, it was in 2005, you can go online. Before that, you could get a little bit about it, but now everything you want to know about Operation Wigwam is there. They put on a 9-kiloton pound atomic blast at 14,000 feet below the surface. And they had no idea, the scientists had no idea what was going to happen, but it did break the surface. We all had signed the petition that we were willing to live by the 50 years. And it it never really had that much for ships that were out any distance away. We never had any problem. Yes, I had a film badge. My film badge indicates that I had no atomic problems. The people in close ended up, particularly if they got water. The blast was much larger than the scientists anticipated. They had some dummy submarine-like categories at different places. Everyone was wiped out. They lost everything.
Wow.
For
reference, Hiroshima, the bomb at Hiroshima was a 10 kiloton, wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. It was 5 or 10. Anyway, it wasn't in terms of an order of
magnitude. It was not a small bomb.
Right.
And
did you see the effect of it? Did the water rise?
Well, we were out, so we did not see the water. In other words, I was over the hump. However, we had two hits. One was the aerial hit, because transfer of the outward movement goes faster in air than it does in water. So we were just some distance out beyond the visual spot, but we had the double. So our ship did not suffer any problems. Another ship did. He had to go into the shipyard for the same for checking on some of the problems. We had rigged the whole ship to be able to wash it down. But since we didn't have that problem, it was a boring thing before and a boring thing afterwards, because you really didn't have anything to do except to make sure nobody else got past you. And the rest of the time was worrying about what's going on. Interestingly enough, after the blast, you understand there were hundreds of floats that are big balls, about 3 feet in diameter, that were holding up different portions of tests and everything else. And our job was to, whenever these things came along, we were to sink them. And one of the interests, we let everybody on the crew who wanted to could call if they see one. And then after running out and checking it for any problems, then they had to sink it. So the guy who first noticed it and reports it for the ship was the first one he could fire all the guns he wanted to sink it. And interestingly, the engine men who were always on below deck, if they weren't not on duty, they were up looking for floats to shoot at.
Do you recall, was Operation Wigwam thought to be a big success by the Navy hierarchy?
It had to be. One thing that I know from my experience with some of the submariners in today's thing, all they know is that if there's going to be a atomic submarine, an atomic blast near them, and after they shoot their weapons, long-term weapons to protect it, their instructions were turn tail and go as fast as you could go. I don't think they would get out of the blast if somebody had set off an atomic blast. That's what they found out.
Wow.
So therefore, atomic submarines today are, if you get on one, just be ready to flee as fast as you can.
This is most enjoyable. We're happy to corral the man who painted the flag on a building downtown and a good friend, fellow Michigander, Dr. Jack Backels. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good.